Hello there and welcome to the EasyAs Accounting Software 6.2 video update. I want to show you some of the changes to the software. If we jump into the expense area, what EasyAs have done is they've changed a lot of the color coding of the screens and a lot of the icons to bring it more up to date. If we have a look at this expense screen here, that's the new way. This is the traditional way. Traditional, new. See the difference? Okay, they're the color coding changes. While I'm in here, if we have a look at the software itself, you have the ability to turn on extra columns if you want them. And when you turn them on, columns are turned on now, and I close this, a little blue box comes up down here. Now what that allows you to do is, instead of having to view backwards and forwards your data, if you're using additional columns, you can move your mouse over that box and it brings up the by page view. So now we view all of that first transaction is all here. It's actually on the screen, and we can click to the next transaction by clicking our things or moving a slide bar, okay, as we know. Now if that doesn't suit you, you can actually change that to a double click. If you click this columns icon, it says use mouse over. No, we're going to use double click. So I'm going to close that, and now when we move the mouse over the top, it doesn't open up the view screen. It won't open it now unless I double click on the blue box. That's that change I wanted to show you. That also goes the same for the income area. I don't need to point it out to you. That's that particular change. Another major addition they've put is, if you look at the invoices, if I click edit on this particular invoice, I'll go down the screen. We notice now, after we've got our normal area up here, our items area in the middle, and we go right down the bottom now, there's an additional comments area. And it says here that this is personal reference and it doesn't appear on the invoice. Now, if for example a client gives you a check, the check bounces, you might want to record additional comments somewhere in relation to the invoice, or whatever additional information you need to record, instead of having to always record it in a diary, or instead of, where I've had to do it previously, is I've had to go up here and just record additional information in here or down in here in the items area after the invoice is sent. And then if I have to send a duplicate copy of the invoice, I've got to remove that information out of there before I send it. So now you don't have to do that. You can put any additional information you want down here and it won't appear on the invoice. There we go. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Now the only thing I want to point out though is, the moment you put anything in this first line, you'll notice up the top here we now get a additional comments is being highlighted there. What that means is this: if I close this screen, if I jump in and look at this particular invoice, there's nothing here because I haven't got anything down there. But if I jump in here and I look at this invoice, straight away this gives me a reminder. If I'm coming back looking at an invoice down the road, it gives me a reminder there is something in the additional comments area that you might want to look at. So you don't have to use the scroll bar and scroll down and see what it is. If I just click that now, click on that, one click, it takes me straight to it. So you can quickly see, oh, this is what the information was about. Now, if there's nothing in this line and you put something in the second line, it doesn't activate that. Okay, it has to be in the first line. You can have information in all these lines, but if nothing's in the first line, it will not activate that to work. Now, these additional comments is on all your invoices and your quotes. Right, moving on along. If you look at the setup icon here, we see on the bottom here, they've now got change printing directory here. Now, if we have a look at an invoice, I just want to show you this. On the invoices, if you click this icon here, it will print your invoices to the My Documents folder in an RTF file. I know a lot of people don't use that now. They have a PDF installed on their computer, Do PDF, which is on the website where you can, it's a third-party product. You go and install that, and most people use this now, and they click this icon and it prints in a really nice GUI format, exactly how it would look if you printed it out of your printer. The RTF format isn't so nice, but other businesses use it for the convenience. Now those who still use this, which I do know a lot of people still use it as well, because the convenience of it is they don't have to renumber the invoices. It's all there, it's set, it's a good enough invoice for what they use, and they send it out. Because this goes straight into your My Documents area, you might have other stuff in there, and it gets pretty messy. And I've seen it get messy myself. So what they've done now is they've given you the ability to change that. If you click on the setup icon, you can click Change Directory, and you can now change the default directory. If there's nothing in here, it uses the My Documents folder. It tells you on an if here. But if I can change this, I might change this here now, and I might decide that I want it to go to my D drive where all my stuff is kept. Actually, I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to back up my computer. I might decide I'm going to go to C drive, and for now I'm just going to shove it here. Well, there we go. I'm just going to shove it back there on the EasyAs folder, just so I can show you. So now if I click OK, it puts that there for me. Okay, that's it. I just now click Close, and now if I print that invoice, it's going to print it and drop it over in this new location. And there it is. It's shoved it here. Okay. Right. I want to jump back in here again. I want to show you one little element. If we look at the defaults here, I'm going to look at the quote defaults. If I click quote defaults, you can naturally, you've got your default phrase, which appears on all your invoices, and your quotes, which was always there. They now just give you a bit of a picture to go with it where it appears. But you can also change the signature line now. If I click here, see it says for and on behalf of. You might not want that. You might not want the signature line to say that. You might just want it to say nothing. So you just get in there and delete that, close. Now when that prints, it's not going to have anything, because there's nothing here now. It's not going to have anything down here. And I'll show that to you. And quote appearance. If I click this here, they've changed the complete way the quote appears. Now, previously it used to say sales tax amount, something like that down here. They've now taken it all away because most people were telling us it wasn't needed. So now nothing appears here when you print a quote. You print a quote, all that appears there is whatever the name of the tax you've given the software, whether it's GST, HST, whatever it is. If you're not required to collect any form of sales tax or any value-added tax or anything like that, you might just call it tax. So you jump back into the software here, and you would change your sales tax. You would change your default name, and you might call it, I'm going to call it tax. Okay, so now when an invoice prints, when a quote or invoice prints, it will actually say the word tax. Okay, now if you put something in this line, that's where it's going to appear on your quote. Okay, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I'm just going to show you that on a quote now. No, get out of there. I'll jump into the quote section. I just created a dummy quote, and I want to show you what it's going to happen. If I preview this, we'll jump in here. See how down the bottom here now it says tax. Previously, the printed quote would have said this, plus sales tax, tax of. That's what it used to say. That's very confusing for a lot of people, and it wasn't appropriate for some countries. We've removed that completely. As I spoke before, you now got a choice as to what you put there. Okay, so I'm going to exit back out of that again. Okay, so that's that word tax that I put in before, and if I wanted to comment in there, as I said, all you've really got to do is just put it in there. Quote appearance, I'm going to put a comment there. When I go back and look at that quote, it will be, when I print that, it's going to appear with whatever I put there. See that? Nice and simple. If you don't want anything there, don't put anything there. Same changes have been made for the invoice. You can change the signature line on the invoice as well. Gives you that ability down there if you don't want that. All much the same. Just go through all these, click all these icons, and you'll get to see what's going on there. The other change I'd like to point out is that EasyAs have added an additional line now for the name and address of clients for your address book. This means that on your invoices, etc., you have an additional line here if you need it. The only other major difference you will find is when you hit the select button to add an address from your address list, you will see that you have a choice of viewing it in 3 columns or 4 columns. 3 columns being the traditional, the fonts are a bit bigger. If you click for 4-column view, the fonts are smaller, but you see all the information from the 4 columns. So you can view that in whichever format you want. And also don't forget up the top here, you see this little minus sign above the lines. That allows you to click on that, and it'll sort the line by whatever's there. Like if I just put something in here now, it's a sort line, so it allows you to sort. Okay, I think that's all I needed to point out in this update.